Welcome back, puppies, to Barking Dogs Miniature Painting Video. Please like, share, and subscribe. You can follow us on Facebook, and you can support us on Patreon.
Okay, so we're going to paint some plate mail. And for this, I'm going to start off with some Secret Weapons Dark Iron, just because it's the darkest metal color that I have. And I will use it to kind of paint in where I think the bits of her armor would be that are chainmail. And so that's really not very many parts to her. So for those chainmail bits, they would most likely be right in here in the arm. And this is a Hero Forged character. And so these are it's smooth. It doesn't really show any area where it looks like it was made to be chainmail. And if you just do a Google image search for, if you do a Google image, so I'm just painting these bits here, the color that dark iron that I want for the chainmail. If you do a Google image search for full plate, there's a variety of styles out there. Some of them actually have a lot more chainmail incorporated into them, or essentially just have a lot less plate covering areas. Some of them are a little more thorough with the full plate if you want to kind of word it that way. But for the casing purposes here, I'm going to be using different shades of metal just really to give it some contrast and make it kind of interesting to look at. And we're just going to say that it's the chainmail portion of her armor. I like reading a lot about history and armor and weapons, and I do have an encyclopedia all about weapons. I think it's Weapons A to Z, and it covers weapons from the Stone Age all the way up to drones. So it's a pretty good source for weapons. So I am fairly familiar with weapons. I'm not really that familiar with armor, but I'm not really worried about it too much at this point. Like I said, the main reason in using this isn't just to say, hey, that's chainmail, but it's really just to use an excuse to get some different color metal bits in here. So while I've read up on weapons quite a bit, like I was saying, I really have not spent any time reading up on armor. Well, I think I'm going to stop there with the dark iron, and we're going to move up to some scale color black metal. Now with the scale color black metal, I'm probably going to be a lot more liberal with it. And by that I mean I'm going to be just really covering pretty much all of the rest of her with this color. Because everything else I do from here with other metals will just be highlighting the bits that I want highlighted. So this black metal is serving as the kind of foundation for everything else that's going to come later. Even if I decide to go with a bronze, like some kind of bronze trim or something, or gold, I don't think I'm going to do that because I really want to give her kind of a straight metal look. I just overpainted there and didn't mean to. I'll have to come back and touch that up with the dark iron later. But this character, the Mini, represents a female paladin named Lee Soo Hee. At least currently, as of the making this video, she will if the player likes the Mini well enough. Well, this will get pretty boring if I just keep running the video and you keep watching me just paint here and carry on. So I'm going to go ahead and knock this out real quick off camera, and when we come back we'll start bringing up some of the metal bits and highlighting. I still haven't really figured what I'm going to do with this part of her armor right here that goes around here, around her neck and shoulders. I might come back and paint it dark iron again. I really don't know. We'll see when we come back. Here she is. I went ahead and threw some green on the fabric part because that is the base color I'm going to be using for that. But that was really mainly to help give some contrast between the primer bits and the metal bits. Help the metal bits stick out a little bit more, hopefully, for the camera. I did leave the knife and backpack and her pouch over here still primer. They're not painted yet. Basically, if you see the colors here in the shield, the green, the bronze, and that kind of red-brown, that's going to be represented in other places on the rest of the model. Her belt and leather bits are going to be that shade of red-brown, and then I'll probably put some of those bronze highlights in somewhere. But I just wanted to give you a look at what she looked like with just those two metal colors. That is the Secret Weapon Dark Iron in just a few spots, like between the knee here and the metal part of the boot there, in this upper part of the thigh, between this thigh armor and her stuff around her waist and hips, and then again here under the arms. And I did go ahead and kind of throw some dark iron on the fingertips. And of course the rest of the metal bits so far have gotten the scale color black metal, and so there's not a whole lot of contrast because they're both really dark metals. But we're about to change that because we're going to step up to some brighter metal. Alright, be back in a moment with that brighter metal. Okay, so I'm just going to what's really kind of the next step up from the black metal color I have, and again it just happens to be the scale color line, and it's called thrash metal. And I'm really just going to be using this as kind of a highlight. Be kind of selective on where I put it. And for this particular highlight, I'm even getting some kind of under areas where light might be reflecting. Still trying to figure out on how I want to do the trim. Whether I want to do it all in bronze or just parts of it in bronze. As I go through here with the thrash metal, I'm being careful not to get it too close to the recesses. That way the recesses still look kind of dark. Yeah, it's going to be a little meticulous, but I think what I'm going to do is come in and try to hit all the trim with that bronze. Because if I don't like the way it looks, I can always just paint over it. Alright, probably gonna stop here And go ahead and start playing around with some of the bronze. I'm trying to be very careful and just do the trim. Okay, so I've done a little bit more painting off camera. I've gone ahead and tried out some of the bronze, just working it around some of the trim of the plate, just to see if I really liked it or if I wanted to maybe make like whole parts of the armor bronze. And I think I'm going to stick with just painting the trim. I think I really like the way that turned out. I think it's a great idea. It's probably one I'll use in the future. And it, helps tie in her armor to the look I'd already given the sword and the shield. So again, I'm just going in and painting, I don't know what else to call it, so we're just going to call it the trim on the armor. So these little places where there's actually kind of like joints in the armor, and the metal was just doubled up or given kind of a a little bit of a fold. Got a little bit of overpaint on the loincloth part of that tunic, but that's okay. So I hadn't really done painting that anyway, so. There's plenty of time to go over it later. Yeah, and even painting some of this trim, there's going to be some overpaint, but that's no big deal. We can always go back in and fix that. I don't know if you can hear it. There's a dog chowing down in the background. Said I'd use this opportunity. Okay, so here's the final look at Lee Soo-hee. I had recorded some footage earlier with the actual camcorder, but the footage ended up not being real great, and I ended up kind of scrapping it. So now I'm using my phone to record, which is a first for me. So I'll edit this in. And you can see that bronze trim on the plate really does kind of help it, give it that kind of extra visual appeal. All in all, I'm pretty happy with the way she turned out. And there she is, half-elf paladin, Lee Soo-hee.
If you like the work you saw in this video and some of the images you're seeing now, I'm available for commissions. You can reach me through messaging me at Facebook, www.facebook.com/BarkingDogStudio. Patreon supporters get discounts on commissions as well as credit at the end of the video. Special thanks to the Clarks for their continued support. Bark on, puppies.